All right.
Wanted to see how you'd respond.
It is 6:30 PM. We will call to order the January Type A Economic Development Board meeting. We do have a quorum present. Is there anyone signed up to speak on anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And do we have new appointed directors to administer the oath to?
We do. And for a reappointment, we have David Morgan, Johnny Waldrop, Mr. Henderson, and Ms. Hayes. So I can have y'all stand up and raise your right hand. And if you repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Type A Economic Development Corporation for the city of Joshua, state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, discuss, consider possible action on the appointment of the following positions for a one-year term: president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Do we have any suggestions on how to proceed with that?
I would take them one at a time.
Okay. So our president is not returning, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Have you heard from Darren?
No, he just decided not to return to the board.
Okay.
And this is the board that the council officially appointed. So
Okay.
this is it.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion that Shelley Anderson be the president of our board.
Second.
Do we just vote
vote,
for each?
uh-huh.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Oh, you
Okay.
didn't vote. Does that mean?
Next is vice president, who I was our vice president. Is there anyone that wants to volunteer their name in the hat for this?
Miss Childress. She's been on it for a long time.
I think it's great that she volunteers.
Well, I volunteered her.
I was really enjoying being secretary. Alice.
Time to move on.
All right.
So is that a motion?
I guess I will make.
I will
a motion.
second the motion for Linda Childress to be vice president. All of those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, so we have Linda. Secretary. Which the great job that Alice does. There's very little for this position.
I'll volunteer.
There we go.
It's a good position.
There you go.
So
That was a chess move to move your arm so I can take the cushy position.
Was there a motion to?
I make a motion to nominate Angela Nichols for secretary.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, and last is our treasurer position.
Yeah, some other country. Do you know?
Right offhand, I do not know,
Oh,
but you can be.
You could be.
I make a motion that
Oh,
David be
okay.
our treasurer.
And I second that motion.
Okay.
All those in favor? No one opposed. Very good. All right.
Wasn't David, were you a math teacher?
Yeah.
So
computer
we'll be
and math, yeah.
responsible for interpretation and explanation. Item E, discuss and review the year-to-date financial statements as of December 2021.
Currently, the sales tax revenues are trending about 30% higher than what was budgeted, so that's always a good sign. But that number is not likely to stay that high. I think as we go, you'll see that number drop down just a little bit. I mean, unless something significant pops up and
Oh no, I got a lot of pool stuff and yard equipment.
maybe that'll be it. Your pool might put us over the edge, but we are collecting fairly well right now. Y'all really haven't had any significant expenses. You got a debt payment it's actually been made, but it'll show up next month. So you'll see that. And then we also uncovered going through some records on this 380 development agreement with the Joshua Station developer. They had never, or we had not received payment on the land purchase from Panda Express. And so we reached out to them, we got that corrected. That money has now been received. And with that, your current fund balance is 1.741 million. Say no significant expenditures. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So our sales tax, did I hear you right? The sales tax, you said it's higher?
Yeah, it's trending higher than what was projected. Right now, we've collected 30% more
Uh-huh.
for the first couple of months than we thought we would. But that number, with Christmas and all that, that number will start to fall back a little bit. Amazon is still the number one. Well, they've been overtaken in number one, but they are in the top three. And that it was a big number.
Who's number one? Is it Amazon?
No, it's American Steel Carports. I don't know who's buying those things, but somebody is. I think that's a reflection. They've moved their corporate offices here. So I think almost all sales now are generated from here. So I think that's why we're probably seeing that number continue to rise.
Do we know any other businesses looking to relocate here? Had any, body call and say, I'm thinking.
No, but that's one of the things that Molly will be working on as she starts get things lined out. There's some things in the works, and part of what you're going to hear tonight about us working with Fort Worth, where you hear from, that may be an avenue to draw some of that in. So we'll certainly be looking at that.
Any other questions on the financials? All right, item F, discuss, consider possible actions to approve the minutes of the September 13th, 2021 meeting.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes of the 2013, September 13, 2021 meeting.
And we had a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Anyone opposed? Thank you. Item G, discuss, consider, give direction regarding the Regional Economic Development Partnership Program with the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce and authorize an annual payment of $1,500.
You guys, because of the, I guess, lack of things to discuss last few months, I don't know that any of y'all have formally met Molly. Molly started with us a couple of months ago as Economic Development Director. She is burning up the roadways in all directions. So she's hit the ground running, and she's going to be presenting this item for you guys tonight to consider.
Good evening, board. So what we have here is I have Chris Strayer here. He's the vice president of the Fort Worth Chamber. He's just going to give you just a small little presentation of what this regional partnership will bring to Joshua. It's going to focus mainly on manufacturing and industrial businesses. And it's also going to create a partnership for us to work regionally to kind of like an arm to reach out and just kind of help get the word out that Josh was here and we're open for business and to bring in industry and create more jobs. Chris, would you like to?
Well, thanks for giving me a few minutes to chat with you here. So Chris Strayer, I'm the EVP, Executive Vice President for the Chamber. I lead the economic development efforts for the Fort Worth region. And I say region because we're more than just the city of Fort Worth. Our office is downtown, but we're representing the 6-county area. So pretty much everything from the airport west is what we're working on. Since I built the chamber, we've been working on projects in Burleson, Cleburne, Granbury, Weatherford, up in Decatur, all the way up into Sanger. So we cover a pretty broad area. And so we have been acting as the regional economic development entity with all of the communities inside of that 6-county area. And so we've decided, we pulled together a group of local economic development folks from Burleson, Parker County, Denton County, some other folks to come together and see if we wanted to formalize this relationship into something that's a little bit more consistent than just us, working with those communities in one-off fashion. And so what we have come up with, both with the Fort Worth Chamber and then also the steering committee, we've gone back to the larger group of about 40 different communities and asked them to essentially join the chamber as a member of the chamber for services that we will render back. And so those services include, number one, from a financial return, number one, doing business development travel with us. And so we will provide the funding, all expense paid for one trip for Molly to go with us to Chicago or Atlanta, where the site consultants or companies might be, so that she can, number one, gain the intelligence about what's going on in the marketplace, what companies might be out there, then also bring back information from those site consultants about how you as a board or you as a community can be looking at putting yourself in a better position for success here in the community. So we will pay one trip a year for Molly to do that with us. The second thing is I am buying a master contract for a software system called Executive Pulse. Executive Pulse is a software platform for business retention and expansion interviews. So we talk about what's the priority for economic development, the existing business. That's what we want to support first. But until we get out there and talk to the companies, we really don't know what's going on in the community, and we can't pull trends and understand what we should be doing as a community, both here locally or regionally, to help support the businesses that are here. And so that, with my master contract and the partnership with the community, I can provide one seat, one license to that system, so that Molly or whoever is wants to go out and meet with those companies, we can dump that information into the system, pull trends, pull information out, see what's really going on in the community. A powerful tool, something that, since I can buy it as a master contract and give it back to you, it's like a $5,000 value if you would go out and buy that specifically for yourself. And Molly can provide you with all the information around that, but it's something that's used by economic development organizations all across the country to, again, understand what's going on, pull the trends out, see it in a format that makes sense, and being able to house that all in one location. We also want to get together on a quarterly basis with all of the other regional partners that will be joining us on this. Like I said, there's about 40 as part of this conversation to talk about trends. What are we seeing? Where's the travel? What industry should we be looking at? Are there joint projects that we can be working on for workforce analysis or things like that? But then also just getting together on a quarterly basis to hear what everybody else is doing, bouncing ideas off of people. If you have a particular challenge, maybe there's an opportunity for Molly to talk with some other professionals in the area to really understand, what's going on, how would they approach it, what's their experience been, are they seeing the same thing, and just build that network of resources around the community. And then also we'll be doing an annual retreat every year to look at that scope of services for 2023. So these things I'm talking about right now are the things we've come up with that steering committee. We want to get everybody around the table and look at it more comprehensive with everybody. What are we doing right? What worked, maybe what didn't work? Do we need to change the travel around a little bit, too much, too little? Do we need to spend more time on the BRE system? Having those conversations, as a collective. So like I said, we've been working with several communities, 6 different counties on the communities within that to have that understanding of, is this a good idea? Yes or no? Everybody's been very supportive of it. The $1,500 is based upon population. So we have a formula that we created. So based upon your population, you would fall in that $1,500 category. And so all the things that I just talked about would be provided back to you, for that partnership. And then we would look at that every year, going through it. So again, Molly's sitting, on that group to look at what's the scope of services. Is the funding model correct? Make those changes, but again, getting all of those regional partners put together. And then lastly, I should say, and to Mr. Morgan's point, when we talk about projects, that's really the important thing is, getting you visibility on the projects that we're working on. Last year, the Fort Worth Chamber, we processed 151 RFPs, requests for proposal, and those were industrial projects, data centers, technology, corporate HQ, you name it. We saw a lot of them. And so having, Molly being able to sit at the table and see those opportunities that are out there, what are we seeing? And then what's applicable for your community? What's sustainable? What does the community want to see? Obviously, it's a great opportunity for her to see all those projects that we're seeing and then see if there's an opportunity to fit one of those companies or those opportunities into the community. Questions?
What other communities of our size that don't directly boundary the city of Fort Worth are you working with?
Oh boy, Seeker 6,000-ish. Well, I'll just kind of go around the region. So, we've had conversations with Sanger, we've had conversations with Decatur and Bridgeport, Springtown, Weatherford, Parker County as a whole, Granbury, having conversations with Burleson, obviously, Cleburne is part of this conversation. Trying to think who else of your size, but it's been pretty comprehensive and all the communities inside of Tarrant County as well. We don't expect everybody to come on right out of the gate. That's a lot, especially if we're in the middle of funding, fiscal year or calendar year for funding. But we do expect by the next 18 months that we would have the lion's share of communities as part of this. And Molly's been part of some of those conversations. I don't know if you want to talk to some of the initial conversations we had around it.
Yeah, so this is, I've been working with Chris for a while now, and they've been very good about issuing out the RFIs for the communities. I don't think one of the things he didn't mention as well is also our website, our city website will also be featured on the Fort Worth website. So any industries that come in, all of our demographics, all of our information, our website in general will be on there as one of the key cities to be looking at industry wise. So, this has been a project that he's been working on for a little bit, and we have at least monthly meetings and kind of collaborate and kind of work through everything. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. Fort Worth has a really great exposure, and it would really help put Joshua on the map.
Does Johnson County have anybody in economic development?
They do have someone, and we have worked with them in the past. We really haven't gained a footing with them or had any success. She is helpful. If we need something, we can reach out to her, and we sometimes do. But we are not a part of the Johnson County EDC program anymore, largely for that reason. We just weren't getting anywhere.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
This is not an action item.
Oh, it's
more to
not?
Give staff direction, and she'll bring something back next month for official action.
Okay. Does anyone have any?
The $1,500 has just
Right.
already been decided. Okay.
So is this something y'all think would be beneficial to us? I certainly think it is.
I believe so.
I do.
Just based on what I've been
Yes.
told.
I think so.
Okay, very good.
Yes, we just wanted your feedback to see if we can move forward and working out some kind of contract for him to bring
Okay.
forward to us, and we'll bring it back to the board.
Okay. Item H, discuss and consider possible action on approval of a leadership training with Burleson Project U for 8 persons in the amount of $800.
Yes, ma'am. Take off.
So this Project U program has also been created by the Burleson Economic Development. As you can tell, we partnership with a lot of the surrounding because it is extremely beneficial. We all work very well together. If something doesn't work in some city, they holler. I mean, they'll holler at us and say, hey, we have this opportunity. Would you guys be willing? So I work with them a lot. The Project U program is basically a leadership. It's a one-day leadership. It's they gave us a discount instead of paying the $122 a person. They said if we bought a table, we would just pay $100 a person. And we would extend that to the staff here as well. It wouldn't be just for me. It would be like, for instance, Alice and the assistant city manager and some of the other department heads would attend this little summit. It's from 9 o'clock until I believe 4 p.m. They have some guest speakers and it's all based on leadership and just kind of bringing that knowledge to the community to help us, benefit the community.
Shelley, is this a time frame, something that you'd be available for?
When is it?
There's a flyer in your packet. Sorry.
22nd. I don't know what the date is.
What is the 22nd? Who's got it?
Tuesday?
Tuesday? No.
We have to.
Yeah. And if the board, if all of you wanted to attend too, we could look at purchasing a second table.
I may have a conflict on that day, but we haven't confirmed if we're.
If any of you guys are interested, if we proceed, let us know, because we can get more if we need it. We can, if there's some of you guys that would like to attend that, we'll.
Who do you have in mind? 8 people?
I haven't completely filled it yet. Molly will be doing most of it, but there's a few of the staff that we'll send. But there will be room for a couple of you guys if y'all want to go. If all of you want to go, we'll send all of you if that's what you want. But we can certainly fill up an 8-person table, and if we need more seats, we can get those too.
This one require approval, looks like.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve.
Move.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor of the $800 for leadership training with Burleson Project U? Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Item I, discuss, consider, and give direction on creating a business facade grant program funded by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
I'm all for it.
This is another program that I would love to see us get started with. Basically, what it'll be is the AA board would fund half of the facade to upgrade the landscaping, upgrade maybe just to beautify along 174. So we're going to focus on that and then maybe the downtown area. But I'd really like to, I think it'd be great to really focus on Highway 174. So we would approach businesses and we would reach out to them and kind of offer that 50% opportunity to them. Like say maybe, and again, we'll bring this contract back and you'll decide what your threshold is. Say the project's going to be 10,000 and we will fund, 5,000 of it. They fund the other. Maybe they're going to put some masonry on the front. Maybe they're going to, put some nice landscaping along the front. Just to beautify the Highway 174 corridor. If you look in your packet too, I kind of made a point on here that what it does is it really helps the economic, vitality of the area. It's going to increase the property values, improve the marketability of the buildings, and it's going to also draw businesses and residents into the area. So this is something that we have been working on. And we just kind of want to get your opinion on this, and then we will fine tune the application process, and then maybe what your threshold or what you want it to be. And then we'll bring that to you. If you're so in favor of this, we'll bring it to you in the next meeting.
One thing to clarify, this will not be funded by type A.
Sorry.
You'll actually be the kind of the pass through. What we'll do is prepare a request to the city council from the type A board to provide ARPA funding, which was money provided by the federal government for COVID relief in various ways. And giving back to the business community is one of those things that if you've had companies that have lost revenues because of this, that it's something we can do to help shore some of that up, provide some of that funding back to those businesses who apply. It would be a reimbursement arrangement so that once they've actually invested the money, they would come and ask to be reimbursed, whatever that number is, and then we'll work out whatever we can pry loose from the mayor and city council. And I think they'll be supportive of it. So we're probably talking about $100,000 or $150,000, maybe a little more. Just kind of depends on the response. And it's something that we could carry on and do next year because there's another round of funding in April of next year that we will see again. And so it's something that we could do maybe for the next couple of years. And if it's successful and it's something y'all did want to look at funding annually, then we could continue the program, just kind of depending on how it goes.
What percentage of that come from the businesses that decide to go along with this?
Yeah, they'll pay 100% of the work, and then we will refund them, reimburse them up to whatever percentage y'all determine. If the maximum is $10,000, and as long as if they spend 20,000, we could give them back 10. If they spend 10, we could give them back 5. We'd need to set a cap on it, obviously, and we'll start working those details out to bring back to you next month if you want to do it, and then we'll go to work on securing the funds through the council.
Has there been any talk as to the amount of work, like square footage of work, as to how much could be applied to that?
That's what I'm wondering. if
Or
that's
is it
how would be
just a
funded.
straight up? like-
I don't know. We'll take a look at what some other places are doing. They're doing this in other areas, and we'll get a hold of those. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. But we should be able to find some local cities that have this type of program that we could put something together that works for us, and whether it's just total amount or if it's square footage, or I don't know, it could be depending on, is it landscaping or is it actual construction? A lot of those things. Maybe we can throw in permit fees and things like that on top of it. There's a lot of things that we can do.
Wondering if we could do something to incentivize using local contractors for.
We can certainly probably request that they do. I guess it just depends on, what it is and whether that trade was available, but, we can we give people information if they ask for it now on licensed contractors in the city. If they call development services, we can give them a list of the people that are doing work here. And some of that stuff's pretty easy. I don't know. We can always ask them to try and use local people, but
We'll put it out for bid.
we would not put anything out for bid. Now they could.
They could.
Because it'll be their project. I don't want to take ownership of their project.
Mike, you remember several years ago when a UTA professor came and had a group of graduate students work up a plan for beautification for that corridor and
do.
other areas. Will any of that be taken into consideration?
We can target those areas. What they suggested is that we start with 174 and 917, if you recall. We reached out to Encore about doing something with that corner. They pretty much said, no, we're not interested in planting anything, and they didn't want to mess with it. That little convenience store that is now the 7-Eleven had no interest, but 7-Eleven has done some things. And Valero, I think, or Circle K or whatever they are this week. I believe they are fixing to gear up and start their project. They've bought that whole block around them. They've kind of been waiting on TxDOT and 917. They're kind of done with that. So I think they've decided to go ahead and move forward to better compete with that 7-Eleven. So
I remember those students came up with some really good ideas.
They did. We did a capstone project about 6, 7 years ago. I think it was Paulette was still here, I believe, when that was done. So that's been 6 years, 7. So we can get that. We still have that. We can certainly take that out, take a look at it. But that was the intersection they had suggested to.
Yeah.
And one of the things we'll do is when we start sending this information out, we'll target those places initially that we think can make the most impact.
Like you mentioned 917, is there anything else going on with it as far as the overpass?
I would say no at this point, but we meet with them on the 20th, I believe, of this month. We meet once a month with TxDOT to hash out various things. They have, we were going to get an update on that project in December. They canceled because of all the Christmas stuff going on. So we'll get that update on the 20th.
Do sidewalks count as beautification?
I'm sorry,
Do sidewalks count as beautification?
I would think they could, yes.
But that's a tech stop road. I don't know.
Well, 174, yeah, that'd be up to TxDOT if they could. But they got a lot of spots for sidewalks that don't go anywhere, but those would have to go through TxDOT. We could still fund them through this program, but they would have to get approval to put them in TxDOT's right of way.
The sidewalks we have put along 174 really made a difference aesthetically. And I know a lot of people have been able to use that.
And
as well.
for safety as well.
Yes,
The
yes.
kids Especially walking,
What?
the kids walking
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
from school.
I think we would definitely like to
Yeah.
see y'all,
Okay, good.
see what you can bring back on that one.
We will bring that to you.
Item J, discussion on possible training from the Texas Comptroller Economic Development.
This is just more for information update. The Texas Comptroller's Office Economic Development Division has sent out an email, and you should have a copy of it in your packet, offered to come here to do a presentation, training. There's several topics there. I've reached out to them, told them we're very interested, possibly in March or April. So we're just waiting for them to respond with possible dates. I told them for type A, type B, and per city council. So once we get a confirmation on it, we'll send out an email. And so we'll have it at our fire departments, what we're hoping. I did request for all the topics here except for the third one, municipal development district, and the PIDs, which we don't have in this area. So hopefully we'll get something soon.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will, at 7:03,
We don't need to do executive session.
we don't need to do this?
No, I just got a couple of questions for you about it. It's not
Okay,
property specific, so.
okay,
One of the things that has kind of triggered our recent success in Joshua Station is the fact that we had property on the books for these things and we could work out these deals. I don't think that's something that this board needs to forget. And I think that y'all need to seriously consider buying some property, investing in some property so that we have it. That we have carrots that we can dangle, especially with the push that, this one's all over the place with stuff. And that's one of the things that got the Starbucks deal done. It got the Panda done. It's getting the other couple of things that we're working on now. That can't really discuss here, but having that property is very important. And so what we'd like to do is, if you guys have that interest, is come in next month with a couple of pieces of property that could prove to be promising for us. Then we'll go into executive session, have those conversations, and y'all can authorize. We've got a realtor that goes in and takes a look at stuff for us and kind of on the fly and take a look at some opportunities. There are a couple that Molly has already identified that I think are worth looking into. That is, I don't think anything more would be happening in Joshua Station had that property not been purchased. And we got that out from underneath that developer.
The funding that we currently have, it's definitely worth. looking
I think
into.
some of these properties, you could certainly do that. You also have plenty of room that if you chose to make a fairly good sized purchase that you would prefer to finance such as those, you have room to do that with and still be well under the cap.
We are still commercial that you're looking
Yes.
at. or something. Okay.
Yeah, it would all be commercial property, and whether it's C1, C2, just what it is, we'll look at that too, but it's mainly stuff that we can have an opportunity to move people in.
Without being specific, is it concentrated more in the Joshua Station area or other places around?
There's a particular piece that is in the TIF district. It's south of Joshua Station. But almost all of them are along the 174 corridor that we're taking a look at. Y'all good with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And was that both of these items or were there two separate?
That's both of them.
Okay. All right. Item M, any future agenda items to be requested for the next agenda?
Whatever became of the water line of North Main and the resurfacing?
They are finishing up the engineering on it. I haven't got a let date for them to bid. Jason's going to be doing all of the bidding and we'll do an interlocal with them for our part of the funding. And I'm thinking that may get going here fairly quick. They were almost done when the holidays were upon us. Glenn, do you know any more about that? Mr. Jason, board representative.
It's in the works, we're waiting for a final answer. Engineering's already made their decision. Jay says, agreed with your interlocal. So it should start fairly soon.
Good.
So this is an item for the next agenda. You'd like an update on?
You want an update on it? Okay. Maybe by then we'll have it done.
Anyone else have anything for next month?
7:07, we will adjourn.
Okay.